Okay, today I'm showing my game engine, and as you can see I have a number of objects here to display what the engine is so far capable of. There's three different objects. There's a cylinder, the box, and then the pyramid that was originally provided in the example. So as you can see, there's different textures on different objects. So right now I have the stone texture, and then there's kind of like a ground texture. You can see the little details in there, and then a rock texture, which is the brown texture. And as you can see, there's also different shaders applied. So if you look at the gray box versus the green box and versus the completely white box, these are different shaders. The gray is consuming light as well as the ones that are on the right side, but in the middle, the shader being used is not computing the light. So one of the things that I want to show off is the ability to kind of switch shaders, and you can do this by pressing 1, 2, 3, 4. One will reset to the shader that is assigned to the object. So what happens is the object has its own shader, a default shader, or a preset shader that it relies on, and it can be overridden by pressing 1, 2, 3, 4, as in there's a global override shader. If the global override shader is the identity shader, then it will use, so identity shader is the first number. You just press the first button, and that is just the empty shader, so it tells the objects to use the personal one. So one of the things I also want to, the other thing that I want to show off as well is the culling from the camera. So as you can see, as I zoom in and out, the objects turn red. When the objects turn red, it signifies that a culling is supposed to happen. For demonstration purposes, I just changed the shader and color to kind of highlight the difference. So one of the things you can do is switch to a second camera by pressing C. What this does is it switches on the other camera while the first camera's frustum is being drawn. This allows you to see just about what's going on as far as the frustum. So you can see that there's a far and a near plane, as well as the whole frustum. The little lines on the back are the normals for the different faces. So kind of like a debugging small thing. You can move the camera around. There's a few buttons you could use. Is Q and A, which is up and down, and then the arrow keys, the forward key is to go straight, and the back key is to go back, and obviously left and right. So, and I can actually, in any camera that I'm in, I can also switch between the shaders. The culling shader is activated by default because it does not care about what shader is being activated, just like it normally would, as the objects wouldn't even be drawn, so who cares about what shader is on there. So the last thing that I want to show is the debug mode, which is the D button, and you can kind of see the overall how the objects are drawn. So basically, if you're creating an object or importing objects, you could see how the polys are, or how your verts are set up so that you can fix any kind of vertice problems or drawing order problems. So one other thing that I want to talk about is, for instance, like the movement here is actually just because I've grouped everything into kind of like their own objects. So like a cylinder loads in the cylinder object, and so because they're all running the same code, they're moving in sync. But really, you can load any kind of object or texture with any game object. So if I want to swap out the model or texture, I could do that on the fly. And the manager is responsible for deleting and managing the textures and the models, so that basically the ownership of these resources are in managers that later delete them as the game exits. So this is what I have so far, and I'll see you next quarter.